Welcome back to Fanatic Now. I'm Josh.
And I'm Brighton.
Today we got a little something special for you. We're going to go over to small stuff and we're going to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. It's been released for over 3 weeks at the box office now, and it's already pulled in over $1.5 billion. So, I know we've all seen it, so we're going to talk about it some, but we're going to really talk about what this means for the future of Marvel.
Yeah, probably going to try to touch on some Morbius, definitely some Multiverse of Madness, and with that trailer hints that they gave us, some Fantastic Four and some X-Men definitely, and possibly even some Illuminati.
Yeah, so you don't want to miss this. Now, when we go to small stuff, these episodes normally go for over 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours. Brighton works there. It's a great podcast. You need to go check it out and watch the whole thing. But for this video, we just wanted to chop it down some and give you the highlights so that you can enjoy it at its finest.
Yeah. So you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Later.
When it first came out, when Spider-Man Homecoming came out, there's all the talk of they didn't do it Uncle Ben. Like, was there an Uncle Ben? Is he dead already? Like, was that like the whole events of Uncle Ben dying and Tom being affected? I don't think we ever get a hint to an Uncle Ben existing.
No, we don't. I don't think. I'm saying
pretty
it like
sure
with
we don't.
definitiveness, but no, I don't think so. However, I think that you're both very right as far as like the meta way to look at this. Yeah. I think Tony Stark was Uncle Ben. In a literal fashion, I do think that in that world there's a pretend Uncle Ben that did exist, only because Marissa Tomei herself, off camera, like not in character, but the actress herself has said something about how she proposed an idea where in No Way Home she wanted to have a girlfriend. She wanted to be leaving happy because she was in a female relationship, and it was going to be kind of a bisexual format because her idea that she brought to it was that she had been with Uncle Ben. She had mourned him. She hadn't gotten into other relationships because she loved Uncle Ben, you know.
Yeah.
And that enough time had passed, she started dating Happy, and it didn't feel right to her, and that she had this close relationship with a woman, and that she ended up choosing to be in a relationship with the female friend. So she proposed that idea. So in the actress's mind, an Uncle Ben did exist, but on a meta version,
But that's also in the
100%.
actress's mind.
Exactly.
That's not in a writer's mind.
Right.
That's not in a
But
movie's
she's behind
mind.
the scenes. She's talking to the people. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
In her mind, it existed, but it didn't.
It
was never mentioned.
Yeah.
So if it
canonically, there has never been a single mention of Uncle Ben. So to our understanding, Uncle Ben does not exist. And that may be why they didn't go with her idea of just being like, well, Uncle Ben doesn't exist in this universe. And she may never said that.
Yeah.
Right.
So real quick,
because I think we're getting like, just to cap off this conversation is just this, as we've all said to each other, is the official origin story of Peter Parker.
Do you know how excited I got?
We predicted it. And then if you haven't seen the Fanatic Now episode, we did discuss it in our review afterwards, but we hadn't been here since. So yeah, those 3 movies ended up being an amazing origin story.
Yeah.
But wow. Like,
when did it hit you? Like, when did it see? For me, I didn't predict that. I didn't see that coming. But it was about when he opened the apartment door at the end. Like, it was then that I realized, like, I felt connected to the people who made this movie, because I was like, I feel like 13 people in here might be getting this right now. And I was like, oh my fucking God, you geniuses. This is amazing. This is a masterpiece. It's the best into the fucking apartment, trilogy ever for Spider-Man.
Him going into the apartment is the moment that it's a slap in the face if you're a comic fan of Spider-Man, where you're like, holy shit, this is the origin story.
This is the origin story we haven't gotten.
That's when it's a clear case that this was the origin story.
No.
Okay, so here's my theory is, again, they're reshooting. They're shooting either end credit scenes that they're going to choose from where Andrew Garfield shows up, or maybe they put him in it. I don't know. Like, I mean, that's enough time to shoot. That's enough time to shoot the final, like another 20 minutes at the end.
It's easily enough time for a post-credit scene.
I have a theory.
That's pushing if they put him in the movie, in the interior of the movie.
I don't think he's...
So if he's swinging around and shit, that's a lot harder. Yeah.
So envision with me.
I wasn't thinking about the VFX artist.
The Morbius trailer, the one we have. There's a poster on a wall
of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
No,
it is though.
No.
Tobey Maguire PlayStation.
The PlayStation version of
not the movie Tobey Maguire, but it is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
It's based off of. Suit. It's not. It's a different suit based off of a PlayStation game made based off of the original Spider-Man movie.
Sony almost always creates a different Spider-Man outfit to promote their games.
About
it? The white spider that runs across.
No, that's. I thought this one was just a regular.
It's
not Sony's 2018 Spider-Man.
No, it's the 2000. It's it's black.
It looks almost
the 2000.
Exactly like.
It's the 2003, 2002 PlayStation Spider-Man version. So it's based off of the movie that came out, but it is not the same suit.
Can you show me the difference?
The second movie.
So it's the Spider-Man 2004 PlayStation 2 game that it's based off of. This isn't even entirely my opinion. This is what I've seen from several other people. So like,
it's just Sony putting Sony in Sony.
So, but there's a good theory I have about that one, and it's the fact that that's a That's a digitally changed image. I don't think when we watch Morbius that's going to be the same thing.
If you look
closely, I think it's going to be Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
If you look closely at the artwork, you can see he's doing this. It is a diddle.
It is a diddle.
Yeah. If you're watching it, go to YouTube. You can see what I'm doing.
Diddle, diddle,
yeah. Diddle, diddle, diddle.
It's a diddle. It's a diddle Spider-Man. He's not quite
all the way there.
He's not, yeah.
But I personally think, because Andrew Garfield even says, eventually I stopped pulling my punches.
Yeah.
Now we know Morbius takes place in the Venom verse. We know that. I think that all of this is the Amazing Spider-Man verse. I think when that ended, I don't think Tobey Maguire wants to come back. But you know who wants to come back? Andrew Garfield.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
I think, and I brought up this point. Who would publicize, who would go national about a Spider-Man who beats the shit out of people and kills people pretty much? No one. No one wants. Think of Batman. Batman's not really known much outside of Gotham City. One, because he doesn't want to be known. And two, because no one promotes a vigilante who beats the ever-loving shit out of people. A friendly neighborhood Spider-Man who does his best to save people and is the kindest person ever. That's going to make state news.
Yeah.
I think that's why Tom Hardy doesn't know about Spider-Man, and that's why Venom doesn't know about Spider-Man.
Hasn't Spider-Man been referenced in the Venomverse before?
I think so.
I think
it was in Venom 1.
I think in the first Venom movie.
He says that there's something weird going on in New York. And that's the only reference we get it.
I thought it was something more on the nose.
It's like there's something. God damn it! Should we make another hard cut just so we get to?
I can't remember anything.
But there is a reference to it. I know.
In the second one, they reference San Francisco for the whole. But I don't.
In the first one, they say there's some kid doing something in New York. I can't remember the exact phrasing.
I mean, in Morbius, by the way. In
Morbius,
they made a reference to.
I will say. There's the backup theory about Morbius.
What's that?
There's a backup theory that I have that Morbius could take place in the MCU. And that the whole Venom being transferred over thing, and he leaves a glob of him back and he disappears, that's the end of the Sonyverse. That was the ribbon. That was the tying the ribbon, the putting on the bow, saying the Sonyverse is over. We're giving everything to Marvel to let them run with it.
Dude,
so
I just got chills.
It would be the best choice for them.
Yeah. Either Morbius is a cap to the Sonyverse, sorry.
No.
Or, because it could be where Morbius is like, we already made this movie, we just got to be done with it. So they're releasing Morbius as a cap to it. Or Morbius will be moved, which could follow along with reshoots, where they're moving Morbius into the MCU, and they're going to say, you know what? here, Morbius is yours. We don't know how he gets in there. Because, like, what's the worst case scenario? They remove the whole, I am Venom. That's literally a 10-second scene that they could replace, change, or remove, and no one would ever know the difference, and Morbius could be in the MCU.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because I am hoping that you're right and that the predictions that I made multiple times on the show, dating back, Jesus, like 9 months at this point, where I felt like the whole MCU versus Sony deal that almost fell apart in 2018. When was it? God, I don't even remember now. When Tom Holland was part of the MCU, and then it fell apart.
Yeah, it was the same year Far From Home actually released, right? It was like right after.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah. No, Far From Home came out.
Whatever.
Yeah. Because Far From Home
came out after
Endgame,
which came out in 2019.
Yeah, it was
before Far From Home. Then it was after Age of Ultron. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever. When that whole fallout happened, where they announced to us for 2 months, us nerds had to live with the fact that we were being told Tom Holland is no longer part of the MCU.
No more Spider-Mans.
And I didn't realize this at the time, but Tom Holland was a Marvel find. That is a Kevin Feige find. Tom Holland, MJ, Ned, that whole crew was a Marvel find that they had to then present to Sony saying, we're not allowed to put them under contract. You've got to put them under contract. And Sony said, no, I don't agree with any of that. Amy Pascal said no to the entire proposal by Marvel. And then Sony rejecting all of that, Marvel had to go to them and like, listen, we know what we're doing here. Get these people. We're going to make it work. They're going to be part of your universe. Like, you're going to have control over this, but I'm telling you, this is the direction we want to go with it. We're going to give you this amount of money. I thought it was that Sony found Tom Holland.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've been saying that.
Yeah, I know. I was wrong.
Time.
There was a tell-all book that came out just a few months ago, and I didn't read it when it first came out. I was reading all of this. No, Sony was the one that put them under contract, which is why I just assumed. Marvel found them and said, here, put these people under contract. Yeah. This is what we're going to do. And Sony was like, nah. Sony didn't even, what's the director's name that just did all 3 Spider-Man movies?
Watts? John Watts?
Yeah. They even fought that. And when after Far From Home and before this movie, they even went, Kevin Feige went and said, hey, so your contracts, you've got a 3-deal contract with Sony. We want you to come over to Marvel. And he was like, listen, I've got this whole thing started with Spider-Man. My loyalty is with you, Kevo. My loyalty is with you. You're the one that hired me. They fought to not have Watts, not have Holland, not have, like, Sony fought all of it early on. But they were like, we want you to come over, blah, blah. He's like, I've got to see this out. I've got to see what's going on with everything. I got to give Sony some credit. They've stuck with me and done all that. And that's the reason that he's jumping over to Fantastic Four now, because his contract was over. What worries you?
John Watts being Fantastic Four.
It worried me really bad before this movie.
Yeah.
This movie came out, I'm like, okay, you still had some pacing issues. You still had a few cinematography issues. But what you just did, if that sparks in his mind, like, I need to be in this mode for Fantastic Four, I'm real goddamn excited. Yeah. But if you had told me, and well, I already knew it, if thinking of Watts being the Fantastic Four director based on the first 2 Spider-Man movies, I'm like, those are good movies, but I don't put them high on my pedestal. So I agree with you, but then No Way Home happened. I'm like,
No Way Home offsets it, but it's still a little like, but whatever. Keep talking about what you were saying beforehand.
No, it's just it just makes me wonder about the whole contractual thing, because what you just said is interesting. These people, we have now, I didn't know this the last time we were talking. Now that I'm reading this book, this tell-all, they're loyal to Marvel. So with my prediction that Marvel made a deal during that whole conflict to say, okay, I'll cut my losses. Tom Holland was yours. And he is technically by contract.
Yeah, by contract.
He is a Sony contract, but that he's only been a part of MCU productions. So it's just a weird situation. With me thinking that they made a deal to get Miles Morales, now I'm just wondering if what you just said is more correct. Maybe the whole problem was that they stepped in and they're like, we want all these back, blah, 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 because he wants control of them. Mm-hmm. Maybe Marvel won in a way. Maybe they're paying a shitload of money over.
Do you think it works about my theory about it, where I said
think your theory could work based on the reason for my theory. Maybe my theory is wrong, but the basis of why I had that theory, what you say could work.
Mm-hmm. What's up, everybody?
So I was talking about wanting to go into the Fox properties and Miles Morales and stuff, but you had something more to say about Venom you wanted to say?
Yeah, all right. So I had one thing that we're teased about in the movie, since that's where we were on that. So I'm not a big fan of the end credit scene with Venom. Did y'all like it?
I liked Tom Hardy.
No, I love
that was
Tom
it.
Hardy as an actor.
I didn't like the scene. I like seeing Tom Hardy do
I've
all of
that.
that.
I've already said I'm not a huge fan of Tom Hardy.
A flying Tin Man, like that shit was.
Yeah.
If my theory is right, I can make peace with it. If it's not right, fuck that end credit scene. But I can stand on it if it's that was the end of Sony's Venom as we know it. Oh. And that put the bow on it.
Yes.
If that's the end,
then it's beautiful.
Then it's beautifully done.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't have any confidence in that.
Yeah.
But I agree. If that happened, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
Don't we have a Secret Wars movie coming?
Not by now.
No.
We have talked about the fact that
we have
it's
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. That's
Secret Invasion is a thing.
Secret Invasion's for sure happening. It's probably happening this year, actually.
Yeah. Secret Wars seems like it'll probably be something we may get in the next 3 to 4 years.
That's how. Yeah. That's how we're going to have to get
to follow.
If that happens, which honestly I'm not sure it's going to.
I don't think Secret Wars will happen this year because we have
not this year. Okay. I'm saying it all.
All right,
I think they're going to come up with some other way for him to get the black suit, but I think for him to have a white spider, he has to be on Spider-Man first.
I don't even think it's going to have a huge part of Secret Wars.
No, me either.
Secret Wars is going to be centered around the fact that we're going to meet a Beyonder, and we're going to have Doctor Doom, and we're going to have X-Men already.
Yeah.
Once we have X-Men established, Doctor Doom established, which means Fantastic Four established, we're going to meet somebody, and I'm going to go ahead and give a spoiler alert. If anybody's watching our things and we're talking about like fan casting, I could imagine a Keanu Reeves or Al Pacino type of character stepping out and being the Beyonder.
Okay.
Really?
The Beyonder is going to be a tricky scenario because the Beyonder's coming.
You think so?
Go ahead and put it down.
Is this because of Eternals and all that?
No, not even. Nope, no, not because of Eternals. I'm telling you, if you read the comics and you watch what Marvel's doing, you just know. They're slowly, it's not that there's one thing where I can say, hey, you remember so-and-so? That means that a Beyonder's coming. It's not that. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And when you look at 7 properties telling you a little bit of this, you just know, man.
Okay.
Beyonder's coming. Secret Wars is coming.
Okay, so
they're going to the next big event, that Thanos level event. Early on, I thought a couple years ago that Kang was going to be that next event.
Right.
Now I think it's kind of one of those red herring type of things where Kang is going to be a big event, but not the big event. He's going to be a really big event leading into the really big event.
I think
he'll be a
I think he's phase 4 big event, who then after the fact will become a mainstay, sort of like Loki, where we'll have variations of Kang, i.e. Iron Lad.
We're going to have leftovers. Exactly.
We're going to have leftovers of Kang that exist in the MCU, and those are going to be mainstays.
I agree.
Much like Loki. I think he'll be this phase's big baddie with Multiverse coming up, with Quantumania coming up, with a bunch of stuff like that. And we may not even get a finished arc of Kang. We may be like, oh, we're done with Kang, and in 4 phases, Kang comes back.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as that whole 3-phase arc, where you have arc for each phase and then the big overarching arc, it seems like Secret Wars could be that.
And y'all called me out on this last time properly.
And I think Civil War 2 will happen between now and Secret Wars.
I don't keep up with what is phases. As much as I'm into this, like I ignore the meta look at what's going on because I feel like I make better predictions when I stay in the moment. So like I purposely stay in the moment. I honestly don't remember right now. Are we in phase 4 or 5? I don't know. We're in phase 4. So we're in the early stages of phase 4.
Phase 4 started with
Far From Home.
Far From Home.
Okay.
So
I think Kang would then be he would have to be like a phase 5.
The only reason I say phase 4 is I think he's going to be sort of like how Loki was kind of the big bad for phase 1.
Yeah.
Where in Avengers we're like, oh shit, they take down Loki, but then he comes back and is a mainstay. I think Kang's going to be like that in Quantumania, sort of, where it's this overarching battle of we've seen Kang pop up in Loki. We're going to see him maybe in Multiverse. We're going to see a few things.
So how long do you think phase 4 is lasting? Because we're not getting Quantumania until late 2023.
I can't count 2020 because 2020 pushed everything back over a year and a half.
Yeah. Where we're at now.
I thought it was going to be 4. I thought it was going to be 3 or 4 years, but like all the other ones have been. But because of that, because you can't. The first phase was like 4 years.
Yeah, it was 4.
It was 4 years.
2008, 2012.
But there was less movies in it. I think Loki season 2 and Ant-Man Quantumania may set up for something.
Okay, so 2008 through 2019 was 3 phases.
And that's 11 years.
Yeah.
So we got to think of 3-ish because they've sped things up.
Yeah.
So even if you barely drop it down 3 years to a phase ish.
3 to 4.
I never look at things this way. I'm like a super nerd when it comes to Marvel.
I don't even think you can, like, phases are hard to pick out. I'm just saying, like,
they are.
I'm just saying, I think Quantumania is the end of phase 4 because it's 2023. And if you count 2019, if you count 2019 as the start of it, everything got pushed back a year. So Quantumania may be 2024 now. I think Quantumania could be our end all be all of phase 4.
It hasn't been pushed yet, but
and I think that'll make way for things like Thor: Love and Thunder kind of playing a big part.
We're getting that.
Wait, no, that's coming.
That's coming before.
But regardless of that,
so confusing.
I think the end of phase 5 would be Civil War 2. And by then we'll have Fantastic Four and X-Men. And I think we'll get Civil War 2 by the end of phase 5. And then the end of phase 6 is going to involve Secret Wars.
So Civil War 2 would probably be the middle of phase 5.
Yeah, in phase 5 we'll get Civil War 2.
Because then you'll need a few movies to lead to the end.
Because do you know this? So do you know the original Civil War story?
No.
So Civil War in the comics, the whole point of the big fight between them was they were like, hey, we need to we're going to reveal our identities because we're being problematic. We need to reveal our identities. And a bunch of heroes were like, yeah, we're going to do that. That's what we're going to do. It's safer for everyone that they know who we really are. And X-Men were like, so fuck no.
That doesn't work for us.
Because we're already hated by everyone. We're basically ostracized. And now you want us to reveal who we really are? So the few times that we can even act remotely normal.
The only thing that gives us a chance at natural life.
Yeah. You want us to reveal that. And they're like, fuck no. And so many people were back and forth. The reason I bring all this up is that's where we get Spider-Man, who reveals that he's Peter Parker, and Aunt May dies. And that's how we get one of the comics that is based off of, that Spider-Man No Way Home was based off of.
Spider-Man was that individual that was like, I could see both ways, but I've got to make a choice here. I'm going to choose to reveal my identity to like be an inspiration to everybody. When he did it, things went very awry.
But on this topic, I want to bring up the fact of Spider-Man is still a murderer. No Way Home never made Peter Parker not a murderer.
Yeah. Everybody thinks he killed
Everybody thinks Spider-Man killed Mysterio, just no one knows it's Peter Parker.
Yep.
I feel like this whole idea, they've put a lot of emphasis on the idea of secret identities, especially with No Way Home.
It's another hint at Secret Wars.
I want to point out Scarlet Witch. Wanda got her name, Scarlet Witch, in WandaVision, but having that personal connection of not having to be a superhero, that more down-to-earth connection. I think these are all, like Josh was saying earlier, it's not one big, this is Secret Wars. It's one thing here, and they slowly pushing over. I think we're going to get the Fantastic Four.
Yep.
We're going to get X-Men.
Yep.
By then, Phase 5 will have rolled around, and we'll get Civil War 2.
Yep.
Now, Civil War 2 in the comics is a little bit different from what I'm describing now. Civil War 2 is more off-base than the whole identity crisis. I just think they'll call it Civil War 2 because of the fact that they already have had one. But I think it'll be based around this idea that they need to reveal their identities, and that's going to be either a big plot point in Phase 5 or Phase 6.
All right.
But we're getting a lot of hints at this idea of keeping your secret identity secret.
Civil War 2 was based heavily on Captain Marvel versus Iron Man.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be Iron Man.
Yeah.
Duh.
So, Fantastic Four theory. You're going to give us the Cliff Notes. Cliff's Notes.
Yeah. So, I was thinking beforehand that Multiverse of Madness
Why does it keep
would be a really good jumping off point to introduce the chaos that they want to bring to us. And if they're going to bring Fantastic Four, Blade, Midnight Suns, X-Men, they're going to bring all these things, all these properties in really soon. They need an excuse to work all this stuff in soon. You, Jake the Viking, multiple people said when Cap and Iron Man left, and that whole end cap that was end game, y'all felt like there wasn't a clear path forward. And I feel like that is a fair assessment, and no offense by this, but it's a fair assessment from a non-comic reader. As a comic reader,
fuck you.
I am so excited.
Like it does. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
I was just gonna say
you already interrupted.
Sorry, I just wanted to touch on what you just said.
Yeah,
because
go.
The way y'all were thinking about it was like if you were on the interstate and immediately came to a stop sign, like how some people were thinking about it. But from a comic reader stance, it was almost as if you were on a country road that opened up into a 4-lane highway.
Oh. That was beautiful.
Oh, man. Continue.
It just,
Be
for y'all,
heart.
I'm going to say, for y'all, it felt like everything just ended. And for us, it was like, holy shit, everything opened up. There's so many new avenues and pathways to go. There's now turnoffs and new exits and everything else that this is possible.
The only comic that you are passionate enough to like really know the comic story about, Spider-Man, when he walked into that apartment, when we saw Endgame, we're like, oh man, this is awesome. And then when it was all done, we're like, but he's going to need, Doctor Strange is going to need help. And I think he's going to get it from the multiverse. I think the verse that we're in, the universe that we're in, doesn't have mutants the same way. And that's an explanation for why we don't have them helping out in all these movies. But I think that we're going to get Patrick Stewart. I think we're going to get Hugh Jackman. And I think it's going to be their farewell.
Much like Toby and Andrew.
Yep.
Do you think we're going to get a recast of Wolverine or
no?
I
think
we're done.
Hugh Jackman.
We're done with Wolverine after this.
No.
After this, we'll get recast.
That's what I'm asking.
He's saying in Multiverse of Madness, we will get like a final Hugh Jackman.
We're going to get Hugh Jackman. and we're going to get Patrick Stewart. I think those two will come out there. Him in a wheelchair, Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart in a wheelchair, Hugh Jackman ready to fucking fight, are going to come through, and there's going to be a discussion point. Doctor Strange is going to explain what's going on. They're going to understand mutants. They're going to see Scarlet Witch as a mutant threat because she's a Nexus being. What she does isn't happening here. It's happening everywhere. And they're going to realize that threat. And Patrick Stewart's going to say, if it comes physical, I've got Wolverine. If it becomes mental, I'm here. You can't do this. He's going to look at Doctor Strange and be like, you're too little for this. It's almost going to be like belittling moment. Not truly like talking down to him, but in that whole, you can't handle this.
We're experts. Like,
let me go into this worldview where I can handle it. And he's probably not. Scarlet Witch was probably going to rip Patrick Stewart's Professor Xavier into parts. And it's going to be one of those point of views where Wolverine can jump in, or vice versa. You can reverse that theory. And I think both of them are going to be completely destroyed by Scarlet Witch, which will make her the villain, because I don't think that she is going to be set up as the true villain of this movie. But I think she'll end up being the villain of this movie. Shumagorath is the villain, or Gargantos.
I think Gargantos is just a minion of Shumagorath.
I do too. I don't want,
because Gargantos literally showed up in two comics ever, and that's not what he looks like in the comics. It looks more like
I
Shumagorath.
100% agree. Do we want to go on that tangent now?
No, not yet. Because I want to add to your thing.
I've got a lot to say about that.
I just want to add to your thing real quick. What if they write in how that's how Xavier gets so fucked up for Logan? What if she
literally can make it work?
She destroyed him mentally, and that's why, like, obviously old age and seizures come with old age sometimes, and that could have explained away, but what if that's part of the reason why he's so
Patrick
fucked
Stewart
up?
and Logan literally said they won't come back for anything because that was their capstone. If that's their capstone, and they have influence over whether they would come back for this movie or not, which they do, because they're under no contract. If they want that to be their capstone, they want Logan the movie to be their capstone, this could still work.
Yeah.
And you just fucking nailed it.
so how do we get a recast Logan? What's your theory there?
Oh, all right.
Cliff's notes.
Taron Egerton. Oh, sorry. Taron Egerton.
Milo Gibson. I think, I've told him this.
Yes.
I don't think so.
I don't either.
He looks like a badger.
I respect it. I don't agree. I respect it, though.
Oh, that guy. Sorry.
Kingsman.
Yeah.
He can
Elton
do it.
John.
I respect it.
Still no, but okay.
Yeah, I don't agree, but I respect it.
That's better than who I thought you were talking about.
I respect
I'll tell you who I thought you were talking about in a bit.
Okay, keep going.
I think Milo Gibson, but I'm going to get into all that. We're about to do a video in the next 2 weeks. The cliff notes of it is, I have two theories that I came up with for how X-Men could come in. I presented both of them to Brighton. One of which he jumped on and started like adding all this stuff to. And by the end, I was like, well, I think it's even better now. So I'm going to call it Brighton's theory because he did a good job of adding on to what I said. The other one I have, I'm going to still stick to as my go-to theory. So I have two theories I'll be talking about on Fanatic now. And he's going to present one because, yeah, he's got some good ideas with it. But what if in this movie we get Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman? I'm purposely not saying Professor X and Wolverine. I'm saying Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman. And it is their ending. Now, I have a theory for how Hugh Jackman could actually come back for one more final curtain call, but I'll save that. Yeah, at least one.
You have two.
Yeah,
that you've mentioned,
and I think it would still work in the universe. Mm-hmm. I think we could get Hugh Jackman multiple times as a co-star, not as a main attraction.
Okay.
But mainly it seems likely that he'll just appear in this one movie.
Yeah, I mean, teaser, World War Hulk.
Yeah.
If World War Hulk happens and Hugh Jackman is sent in, we could get a very good Wolverine send-off that reminisces of Hulk 181, the first appearance of Wolverine. Mm-hmm. We could get something that Hugh Jackman would sign on to.
And with
Wolverine fighting Hulk 181, the intro of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman loves this role. He loves it. And if he could portray the first appearance of Wolverine on live action film under a Kevin Feige, he'll do it. Mm-hmm. And I have a theory that would make it work.
And then on top of that, him and Ryan Reynolds' relationship is so incredibly strong that a possible Deadpool coming over to the MCU could also possibly mean a slight cameo from a Hugh Jackman Wolverine of...
Ryan Reynolds wants Deadpool versus Wolverine so bad. And if you've never seen the whole Hulk versus cartoon animated series, there's a 2-part. Hulk versus Wolverine, Hulk versus... What is the other one? Shit.
Thor?
Yeah. Hulk versus Thor. It's a 2-part movie.
Really
it's about
good.
45 minutes each. Oh my God.
It's on Netflix, I think.
It's one of the greatest animated things you could ever watch.
Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah.
Wolverine versus...
Maybe not tonight.
It's 12:42 a.m.
I didn't realize it was
Hulk
almost
versus
I mean, it
Thor?
could still be tonight.
Yeah.
It could be Thursday night.
Hulk versus Thor, really good. 45 minutes. Very much worth your watch. Hulk versus Wolverine, one of the greatest goddamn things that's ever put down in film. I fucking adore it. I love it. They nailed everything about the comics and they just killed it. So Multiverse of Madness opens up all of these things that we could see. Mm-hmm. And man, I could totally see Doctor Strange being over his head. And we already know that we're going to get a Defender Doctor Strange. We see him. You see the guy spiraling with a ponytail? Mm-hmm. That's Doctor Strange. He's the one with the ponytail. We already know that we're getting multiple versions. We already thought it when we saw the evil Doctor Strange. A lot of people are thinking it's Supreme from What If. I don't think it is. But we're getting at least 3 versions of Doctor Strange. Man, so many things are being introduced here. And in those title cards, you see the X-Men and the Fantastic Four title cards being broken up in there. If that's a hint that we're getting both of those, then do you think that means that we're going to get characters from the original Fantastic Four?
I do.
I do
think
too.
it's I think as we've discussed
characters
before,
as in the same actors.
Yeah. I think we may be getting an Illuminati scene.
We're getting an Illuminati scene.
And with that, I don't know if you are familiar with the Illuminati, but
I told him.
We've talked about
it.
Remember? We've talked about it before, if you remember.
Like I know we've talked about it before, but
there's an entire
YouTube
YouTube clip about it.
No idea.
But it's like Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Patrick's Professor X, Doctor Strange.
I recall.
Namor. I think I've even told Josh this. I was like, I could see it being something similar to almost like an empty round table type of thing, where you'll probably have Professor X sitting at the head of the table, and he's like, we have to discuss about this. Like, we have to do something. We can't just let it go by. And Doctor Strange at this point could be involved in this. He could be in the room, but you're probably going to have this dramatic moment. And the Reed Richards from Fantastic Four is going to like spin around his table and be like, yeah, and we can't wait for everybody else. And as it's saying, we can't wait for everybody else, it's going to be like nameplates of Namor and T'Challa and Tony Stark. And it's going to phase past all of these while like they're talking, and we're never like, it's going to hit at the fact that there is the Illuminati, they exist, and there are it does consist of these members. We just don't have all of them yet.
My dream scenario will be Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman walking in and the theater erupts. Mm. They have their scene, and exactly what Brighton just said happens, where you have a Namor. He's already been cast. We've known him for a year and a half now.
Oh, a Kang
Namor,
too could probably be on the Illuminati.
Kang could be. I'm actually thinking
a Kang.
I'm actually going to go against that. I actually think that they're going to break from comics and have White Vision. Because Iron Man is a huge role in the Illuminati. And I think that a remnant of him will be in White Vision. And White Vision will be that, because you gotta think of what
you don't think
the
Tom
Illuminati
Cruise
is.
Tony Stark would be there.
I think they filmed it. I 100% think that they filmed Tony Stark as Tom Cruise,
or
vice versa. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Tom Cruise
the other
as
way.
Tony Stark.
Yeah, the other way.
Yeah. I 100% think that happened. But as we talked about earlier, Kevin Feige doesn't like leaks, and it happened so long ago that I don't know that it'll make the slate.
See, I'm 50-50 on it because he doesn't like leaks, but I feel like it's one of those that was almost kind of ridiculous enough that people would have been like, man, this isn't even fucking true. And it happened so long ago that he could, if it did ever happen, because it was filmed. So it could be one of those, I could see Kevin Feige being the one that films stuff and is like, we're going to fucking cut it. And it sits on a shelf. And then he's like, it's been forgotten about. People thought it was a joke.
Yep.
Let's fucking put it back in there just to fuck with them.
You're right. I think that the Fantastic Four and the X-Men will be put to rest with who we see, and we move on to a different direction. But I would love to see Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman come in, and we feel like, oh, now I know who is going to be the Reed Richards. It's going to be the guy from the old Fox, and the whole chair spins around type of thing, like you were. And it's John Krasinski. I know he's the popular pick, but he is fucking perfect. He is Reed Richards.
Never once have I thought in previous fan casting, I've never thought somebody was so perfect.
There's never been a fan casting. Yeah, there's never been a fan casting before that I thought, no, that is Reed Richards.
I gotta be honest. I barely see him as Jack Ryan. Like, I'm just like, and in A Quiet Place, I don't know. It's just his face. He's got a face for comedy, man. Like, no offense.
He's got a cartoon face.
Right.
He's got an
I get it.
over-exaggerated face. And that is Reed Richards.
Got it.
He is perfect in every way. He can be smart. He can be action. He can be sincere.
He's very witty.
He is the
And Reed Richards can be witty.
I hate the fact that I didn't come up with him as my pick for Reed Richards before he was popular.
Yeah.
Because he is fucking perfect. And the worst part of it is his real life wife is perfect for Sue Storm.
Yeah.
But they won't do a movie together.
That's what she says.
Yeah. Was that an Office thing? That was both. I mean, yeah, we could. There's a thread through there.
Yeah.
So,
but they have legitimately,
since we're on this,
but she did say,
she said, yeah.
Who's Sue Storm and who's Johnny Storm?
We fanatic now for that.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be a tune in.
Oh, okay.
We have a whole show for that.
We can't divulge everything on your show.
All right,
we're doing a whole show where we dive
When's the video coming out?
About
in 2 weeks.